In a world where shadows stretch long and whispers echo late into the night, let us lose ourselves in the enchanting realm of Venice. And just before the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of amber and rose, we invite you to join us as we unveil the daily life of its people. As darkness envelops the canals and moonbeams dance upon the water's surface, prepare to be captivated by a journey through the heart and soul of Venice, where every alley holds a secret and every whisper tells a tale. Welcome to our channel, where history comes alive and every era has a story to tell. Today, we embark on an extraordinary adventure back to the heart of Venice during the 17th century, a time when this magnificent city thrived as a hub of art, commerce, and intrigue. Picture yourself wandering through its labyrinthine streets, where the air is thick with the aroma of sea salt and spices carried on the winds from distant lands. As the sun sets, casting long shadows across the canals, we'll witness how the Venetian night unfolds. Now, as you might expect, it's not easy being a historical reenactor. After all, it takes a lot of dedication and hard work to stay true to a particular period. And for us, one of the biggest challenges is dealing with the scorching heat. But you know what? Despite the sweltering temperatures, we wouldn't trade this experience for the world. Why? Well, because seeing the reactions of people who witness our historical portrayals firsthand is incredibly rewarding. Their amazed expressions and enthusiastic cheers make all the hard work worthwhile. And today is no exception. We can't wait to share our latest project with you, which we hope will transport you back in time to the mesmerizing world of 17th century Venice. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be transported back in time. Who knows, you might even learn a thing or two along the way. Imagine standing at a very spot where the last rays of sunlight paint the canals in hues of gold. You can almost feel the gentle breeze carrying the scent of orange blossoms and sea salt. But as the sky deepens into velvety indigo, the streets come alive with a different kind of magic. Musicians fill the air with lively tunes, while masked couples glide through the bustling crowds. The Rialto Bridge, adorned with twinkling lights, becomes a hub of activity. Shopkeepers, eager to close their stalls, pack up their wares, their voices mingling with the laughter of children playing at dusk. As the night deepens, the energy shifts. In the quiet lagoon, gondolas become silent specters gliding through the inky blackness. Each stroke of the oar breaks the stillness, echoing the secrets whispered by the moonlit waves, hidden behind closed shutters. The playwright Carlo Goldoni might pen his latest comedic masterpiece, his quill scratching on parchment. Meanwhile, at the bustling Ospedale, Della inmates practice their music, their voices blending in a hauntingly beautiful chorus. As the clock tower chimes at midnight, the city seems to hold its breath. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierces the night. From a shadowed balcony above, a woman's anguished cry echoes across the canals. In the distance, the rhythmic tap of a night watchman's staff breaks the silence, his presence a solitary beacon in the vast darkness. Now, picture this. You're strolling along a narrow cobblestone street, the air thick with anticipation. Ahead, a group of men emerge from the gloom, their faces partially hidden by intricately carved masks. They move with purpose, their footsteps echoing the urgency of their mission. Suddenly, they halt, their eyes gleaming with mischief. With a swift movement, they snatch up a passing gondola and tip it over, sending its cargo of unsuspecting passengers into the canal. Laughter and screams mingle with the splash of water as the gondoliers struggle to right their overturned boat. For these roguish pranksters, it's just another night of revelry in Venice, where danger and delight go hand in hand. But the Venetian night is not just about revelry and mischief. In the tranquil Campo, a young woman kneels beside an open window, her face illuminated by the soft glow of a candle. Her hands, adorned with intricate gold rings, rest on a wooden prayer bead, lost in contemplation. In the neighboring San Polo district, a skilled artisan sits at his workbench, its nimble fingers weaving intricate patterns into a rich tapestry. The rhythmic clatter of his loom fills the air as he brings his latest creation to life. But the city's magic doesn't end there. Further down, a group of masked nobles gathers in a grand palazzo, their voices echoing with the thrill of excitement. They're engrossed in a game of lotto, their fortunes hanging in the balance with each roll of the dice. As the night wears on, the atmosphere grows charged with emotion, and the stakes become higher. Little do they know that their decisions will have far-reaching consequences that will reverberate through the very foundations of Venice. And so the night unfolds, revealing the hidden facets of Venetian life. But what happens when darkness falls on the canals of Venice? What secrets do the starlit waters conceal? And how do the inhabitants of this enchanting city navigate its winding labyrinth after sunset? Well, it's not all smooth sailing when the sun dips below the horizon. Just like any other city, Venice has its fair share of bumps in the night. Petty thefts and the occasional brawl can erupt when the moon is high. Fear not, for Venice has its own band of nocturnal guardians, the watchmen, armed with halberds and whistles. These vigilant protectors patrol the shadowy alleys, ensuring that the peace of Venice remains undisturbed. Now, imagine you're strolling hand in hand with your sweetheart along the moonlit bridge, the gentle sway of gondolas serenading you below. Suddenly, a piercing whistle cuts through the romantic ambience. Startled, you turn to see a burly watchman approaching, his stern gaze sweeping across the crowd. His whistle hangs in the air, a symbol of order amidst the chaos. But despite these nocturnal disturbances, the spirit of Venice endures. The canals reflect the starry sky, and the buildings stand tall, their ancient stones whispering tales of days gone by. Even in the darkest hours, the beauty of Venice shines through, reminding all who wander its moonlit paths that magic never truly sleeps. And speaking of magic, let us share a peculiar custom that adds a touch of whimsy to the Venetian night. Have you ever heard of the Serata del Mare, or the Night of the Marys? This unique tradition dates back to the Middle Ages, when the sea threatened Venice's bustling trade. To appease the powerful Virgin Mary, the Venetians developed a peculiar ritual. Every Saturday, they would hoist life-size figures of Mary onto the highest points of their homes near the waterfront. These eerie figures, sometimes adorned with flickering lights, would sway gently in the evening breeze, creating an unsettling yet mesmerizing spectacle. The locals believed that this strange procession would calm the raging waters and protect their beloved city. And so, the Night of the Marys continued for centuries, serving as a reminder of Venice's enduring spirit in the face of adversity. But the enchantment of Venice doesn't end with its canals and traditions. The city's streets come alive with an array of captivating sights and sounds as night falls. Street vendors set up their stalls, offering everything from delectable snacks to curious trinkets. The air fills with the mouth-watering aroma of pizza, fritters, and sweet pastries. Music spills out from tavernas, inviting weary travelers and locals alike to step inside and enjoy a lively tune. Then there are the pigeons. The pigeons of Venice, unafraid of humans and seemingly everywhere. These feathered friends strut through the streets, adding a touch of whimsy to the urban landscape. Some perch on windowsills, cooing softly, while others gather in groups, pecking at scattered crumbs. They're not just charming to look at, but also an integral part of Venice's unique charm. However, as the night deepens, a different kind of magic takes over. In the quieter corners of Venice, fortune-tellers and healers emerge from their hiding places. With cryptic smiles and knowing glances, they offer their services to those seeking guidance or solace. There are also the gondolier serenaders, their voices echoing softly through the labyrinthine canals. As you drift off to sleep, lulled by their haunting melodies, you can almost feel the spirits of Venice whispering secrets to your dreams. The city that never sleeps truly comes alive at night, offering its inhabitants and visitors alike an unforgettable experience. In the heart of Venice, the night unfolds with its own rhythm, a symphony of sights, sounds, and emotions. The canals reflect the starlight, becoming mirrors to the heavens. The buildings stand as silent witnesses to centuries of stories. The people of Venice, with their resilience and spirit, navigate the darkness with grace. Whether it's the laughter of children, the whisper of lovers, or the watchful gaze of the night watchman, every moment is a brushstroke on the canvas of Venetian night. And as the first rays of dawn begin to peek over the horizon, you're left with a sense of wonder, knowing that you've experienced something truly magical. We hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into the world of 17th century Venice, where the canals came alive at night. If you'd like to continue exploring history, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never stop discovering. The bell tower of San Marco stands sentinel, its shadow stretching across the piazza like a sundial. In the year 1512, a subtle change ripples through its ancient stones. A new mechanism, hidden from view, begins to mark the hours with a precision that seems to defy the very nature of time itself. Gears turn, teeth meshing in silent harmony. It's the sound of metal on metal, barely audible, echoes through the tower's hollow core. It is a sound few will ever hear, yet its effects will be felt by all who pass beneath its watchful gaze. In a narrow street behind the church of San Polo, a man hunches over his workbench. His name is Bartolomeo Veracina, though few know it. His hands, calloused and stained with oil, move with the surety of long practice. He is not a noble, nor a guildmaster, but a craftsman of the highest order. The workshop is small, lit by a single round window that casts a pool of light upon the floor. Dust motes dance in the air, stirred by the gentle motion of pendulums and the rhythmic ticking of a dozen clocks. The scent of oil and brass hangs heavy, mingling with the earthy smell of wood shavings and the faint tangs of metal filings. Bartolomeo works in silence, his movements as measured as the devices he creates. His clocks are not grand affairs of gilt and enamel, but small, weight-driven masterpieces that speak of function over form. They are built to last, to measure out the days and years with a constancy that will outlive their creator and those who commission them. Time to Bartolomeo is not a simple matter of circles or lines. He sees it as something more elemental, a force as fundamental as the tides that rise and fall in the lagoon beyond the city walls. It pulses, he believes, in deep rhythms that most cannot perceive, but that his clocks can capture and display. As he works, his mind wanders to the fields beyond the city, to the vines that stretch towards the sun and the women who grind barley in ancient stone mills. They, too, measure time in their own way, listening for the subtle changes in the earth and air that signal the turning of seasons. Bartolomeo speaks rarely, his words as carefully chosen as the gears in his clocks. Yet his thoughts flow freely onto paper, filling hundreds of pages with notes and observations. He writes of gear, ratios, and escapements. Of water clocks that measure time by the steady drip of liquid, and of the strange elasticity of moments. In his writings, he ponders the way time seems to stretch during prayer, each second expanding like a breath held too long. He marvels at how it contracts during conversation, hours slipping away unnoticed in the company of friends. These observations, scribbled in the margins of technical drawings, reveal a mind that sees beyond the mechanics of his craft to the very nature of existence itself. To step into Bartolomeo's workshop is to enter a world apart. Here, time is not a tyrant to be feared or an enemy to be conquered, but a gentle companion to be understood and respected. The air thrums with the soft ticking of dozens of timepieces, each beating in its own rhythm, yet somehow forming a harmonious whole. No hour passes unnoticed in this place, no second taken for granted. Bartolomeo moves among his creations like a shepherd tending his flock, adjusting here, oiling there, ensuring that each clock maintains its perfect measure. His touch is gentle, almost reverent, as if he understands that he is handling something far more precious than mere metal and wood. As the years pass, Bartolomeo's reputation grows, though he seeks no fame. His clocks find their way into the homes of merchants and the studies of scholars, each one a testament to his skill and vision. Yet he remains in his small workshop, content to let his work speak for him. In quiet corners of monastic libraries, his timepieces tick away the hours as monks bend over illuminated manuscripts. In the chambers of government, they silently witness the debates and decisions that shape the future of the Republic. And high in the tower of San Marco, his greatest creation continues its endless vigil, marking the passage of time for all of Venice. Bartolomeo's life, like the mechanisms he creates, moves with a steady, unhurried pace. He rises with the sun, works through the day, and retires as the last light fades from the sky. His meals are simple, his pleasures few. He finds joy in the perfect meshing of gears, in the steady swing of a pendulum, in the knowledge that his work brings order to a chaotic world. As he ages, his hands grow less steady, but his mind remains sharp. Takes on apprentices, passing on his knowledge with the same care he uses to craft his clocks. They learn not just the mechanics of clockmaking, but the philosophy behind it, the understanding. That time is not something to be conquered, but to be embraced and understood. When Bartolomeo dies, it is as quietly as he lived. The city barely marks his passing, too caught up in its own rhythms to notice the loss of one humble craftsman. But his work remains, a legacy more enduring than any monument of marble or bronze. In the tower of San Marco, the great clock continues its steady count. In libraries and studies across the city, smaller timepieces tick on, each one a small piece of Bartolomeo's vision. And in his workshop, now silent and dark, a single pocket watch lies beneath his pillow, still beating slowly like a heart. The watch is his final creation, a distillation of all he learned in his long life. It is simple in appearance, with no ornate decorations or unnecessary complications. But within its plain case lies a mechanism of exquisite precision, capable of measuring time with an accuracy that seems almost supernatural. As the years pass, the city changes. New buildings rise, old ones crumble. The faces in the piazza are different, the languages spoken more diverse. But through it all, Bartolomeo's clocks continue their steady count, marking the hours and minutes with the same unwavering precision. In time, the name Bartolomeo Farracina fades from memory, becoming little more than a footnote in the history of horology. But his legacy lives on in every tick and tock, in every gear that turns, in every pendulum that swings. It lives in the very concept of measured time, in the idea that the chaotic flow of existence can be divided into neat, orderly segments. And so, as the sun sets over Venice, casting long shadows across the lagoon, the clocks of Bartolomeo Farracina continue their quiet work. They measure out the lives of generations yet unborn, marking the steady pulse of time with the same constancy as the tides that rise and fall against the city's ancient stones. In the end, it is not the grandeur of monuments or the fame of great deeds that endure, but the quiet, steady work of those who seek to bring order to chaos, to find meaning in the ceaseless flow of moments. And in this, Bartolomeo Farracina, the forgotten clockmaker of Venice, achieved a kind of immortality that few can claim. In the depths of night, Venice stirs. Canals whisper secrets, and shadows dance on ancient walls. A woman rises from her bed, not with urgency, but with the quiet certainty of ritual. Lights a single candle, its flame flickering like a heartbeat in the darkness. To our modern minds, this midnight awakening might seem like insomnia's cruel touch, But in Renaissance Venice, it was as natural as the tide's ebb and flow. After a few hours of initial slumber, Venetians would emerge from their first sleep, entering a realm known as La Veglia, a pause between dreams, a breath held between two worlds. In this hushed interlude, the city came alive in ways unseen by day. Candlelight painted warm halos in windows, while the moon cast silver paths across the water. Some turned to prayer, their whispered devotions mingling with the night air. Others reached for books, savoring words in the stillness that daylight rarely afforded. For the wealthy, La Veglia was a time of correspondence. Quills scratched parchment, sealing thoughts and intentions before the second sleep claimed them. The less fortunate found richness in simplicity, sitting in contemplation, listening to the creaks and sighs of their homes, as if the very buildings were sharing confidences in the dark. Neighbors, emboldened by the intimacy of shared wakefulness, might slip out to visit one another. On nights when the moon hung full and bright, the canals became silvery roads, inviting quiet exploration. Gondolas glided like water spirits, carrying whispered conversations and muffled laughter. The medical minds of Venice saw wisdom in this fractured night. They believed the body cleansed itself in stages, much like the tides that lapped at the city's foundations. This division of darkness, they claimed, was essential for true digestion, not just of food, but of the day's experiences of life itself. Even dreams, those ephemeral wanderings of the unconscious, were thought to come in layers. The visions of first sleep belonged to the body, raw and primal. But those that visited in the second sleep, they were messengers of the soul, carrying truths too delicate for daylight. La Veglia was a time when the veil between worlds grew thin. Superstition hung heavy in the air, as tangible as the lagoon's mist. In many homes, mirrors were shrouded, their reflective surfaces deemed too inviting for wayward spirits. Certain foods were shunned before bed. Onions with their sharp bite, honey with its lingering sweetness. These, it was said, could birth dreams too vivid, too dangerous for the delicate balance of night. Yet, for all its mystery, for all the whispered warnings, La Veglia was cherished. In those hushed hours, Venice seemed to float free from time itself. The world beyond the lagoon faded to insignificance. All that mattered was the gentle lapping of water against stone, the distant toll of a bell, the soft breath of a sleeping child. As the hours crept towards dawn, Venetians would return to their beds, slipping into the second sleep like divers into deep water. When they emerged again with the sun, the city would don its daytime mask, bustling, vibrant, filled with the clamor of commerce and politics. But those who had walked in La Veglia carried a secret. They had glimpsed Venice at her most vulnerable, most true. They had heard her heartbeat in the quiet and seen her soul reflected in moonlit canals. The practice of segmented sleep faded with time, lost to the relentless march of progress. Gas lamps and then electric lights pushed back the darkness, blurring the lines between day and night. The industrial age demanded different rhythms, and Venice, like all cities, adapted. Yet on certain nights, when the fog rolls in and the modern world seems to hold its breath, one might still feel the echo of La Veglia. In the spaces between streetlights, in the shadows of ancient doorways, the old rhythms linger. And if you listen closely, you might hear Venice whispering her secrets, inviting you to wake in the midst of night and discover the magic that lives in the hours between sleeps. For in those moments, suspended between dreams, we touch something primal. We remember that darkness is not empty, but full of possibility. We recall that sleep is not just rest, but a journey, one that can be paused, savored, explored. The next time you find yourself awake in the small hours, resist the urge to fret. Instead, light a candle. Listen to the night. Let your thoughts wander down moonlit paths. For you are not experiencing a modern inconvenience, but partaking in an ancient tradition. You are joining countless Venetians across the centuries in La Viglia, that sacred pause between dreams, where the world holds its breath and magic seeps through the cracks of ordinary life. And as the first light of dawn begins to paint the sky, as you settle back into your bed for the second sleep, carry with you the knowledge that you have touched something rare and beautiful. You have walked in the footsteps of those who understood that night is not just for sleeping, but for living, deeply, quietly, intentionally. Let this understanding seep into your bones, becoming part of your own personal mythology. For, in embracing La Viglia, we reconnect with a rhythm older than cities, older than civilization itself. We remember that our lives, like Venice, are built on water, fluid, ever-changing, and filled with depths we have yet to explore. As you drift off, let the gentle lapping of unseen waves carry you into dreams. And know that when you wake, you will carry a piece of Venice's nocturnal magic with you, a secret shared across centuries, a whisper of possibility in the quiet hours of the night. By night, Venice flattens, the grandeur of marble fades under shadow, and the echo of a gondolier asks for sounds. The same weather beneath a palace or beside a boarding house, but the sleeping city still knows its tears. In the palazzi of the Grand Canal, nobility retired to canopied beds beneath frescoed ceilings. Their sleep is guarded by servants and timed by imported clocks. For them, night is luxury soft linens, perfumed sheets, a quiet, broken only by lute music drifting from a distant salon. In the convents, sleep follows a stricter rhythm. Nuns rise for matins in pitch dark, their voices unbraiding the silence with Gregorian chants. These hours are less about rest and more about obedience. Their dreams, if remembered, are written into coded journals, read only by the abbess. Then there are the night watchmen, paid by the city, but often lodging in shared rooms, their hours ruled by lantern, light, and duty. They know every backstair, every shortcut between bridges. Their power lies not in wealth, but in movement, while the rest sleep. They walk. So too, the gondoliers who ferry late passengers, the laundresses who soak cloth in brackish water before sunrise, and the boys who run errands for scribes. Sleep in Venice may drift, but it does not descend evenly. Like the lagoon, it pools in some places and barely weights others. The sun dips behind the Venetian hills, staining the sky in bruised purples and pinks, the colors of fading flesh. This hour is always the most precious to the signoria, when the day is done, but the evening's pleasures have yet to bloom. A cool breeze ripples through the Grand Canal, carrying the scent of orange blossoms and salt, ruffling the skirts of ladies leaning from their palace balconies. For the nobles of Venice, night is a sumptuous thing. A velvet curtain drawn across the boisterous drama of daylight, leaving only intimacy and ease. For the wives of doges and the daughters of merchants slip out of their heavy gowns into lighter shifts, the silk whispering against their skin like prayers. Their husbands dan looser robes, though even in leisure they are mindful of appearances, smoothing their ruffled collars and adjusting the jewels that mark their rank. Scalants in the great hall of the Palazzo Ducali servants set out supper, a groaning board laden with roasted meats and fish from this morning's lagoon hall, along with sweet fruits from the east and honeyed cakes from the baker's daughter. At the far end of the table, a silver ewer waits to be filled from a crystal flagon, each piece of glass and metal carefully chosen to display the wealth of the state. When supper is done, the tables are cleared, leaving only space for a single massive dessert, a swan crafted from pastry, its wings spread wide, its beak filled with candied peel. And while the lords and ladies dig in, a young boy slips out of the room, his belly rumbling, clutching the swan's discarded wing. Meanwhile, in the Doge's private apartments, two men sit hunched over a chessboard, their faces half lit by a flickering candle. The air is thick with the scent of wood smoke and the low murmur of voices as news arrives from the east and from the mainland, carried on the backs of pigeons and the wings of the wind. Here, the decisions that will shape the coming dawn are made in whispers. The safety of the Republic, the balance of trade, the tilt of war. In the shadowed corners of this room, the fate of Venice is always up for grabs. As the night deepens, the players move their pieces with grave consideration. For the Doges, the game has long been a battle for supremacy, played not on squares of painted wood, but on the shifting sands of history. Each pawn a merchant ship, each knight an outpost on the mainland, each queen a jewel in the crown of St. Mark. The stakes are high and the rules well known. No cheating, no bluffing, only cold strategy in the pursuit of victory. The air is thick with incense in the Santa Maria della Carcerata, the convent where 40 nuns live out their days in prayer and service to God. Above them, the Virgin Mary watches impassively, her gaze turned heavenward as she has for centuries. As the moon climbs higher in the sky, a young nun stirs in her cell. Her dreams have been troubled, filled with images of sin and damnation, with memories of a life left behind. In the corner, a stone gargoyle grins down at her, its grotesque features leering in the dim candlelight. The clock tower chimes midnight, its solemn toll echoing through the empty halls. The nun rises, her bare feet padding softly on the cold stone floor. She kneels before the altar, whispering her prayers, seeking solace in the familiar words. With each Hail Mary, the shadows seem to recede, replaced by the growing light of faith. Outside, the city sleeps, oblivious to the secrets whispered within these four walls. But here, in this place of shadows and sanctity, the night is filled with purpose. At the other end of the city, a group of night watchmen huddle around a flickering oil lamp, their faces grim in the dancing shadows. One of them, a wiry man with a sharp nose, holds up a crumpled piece of paper, his voice low. The reward offered by the Signoria is substantial, enough to tempt even the most honest watchman. The description of the missing item is vague. A scroll said to contain vital state secrets. Its disappearance, a threat to the very fabric of Venice. The men confer in hushed tones, their words barely audible above the lapping of water against the ancient stones. They know the city's waterways like the back of their hands, its winding canals and hidden inlets, its bridges and its archways. Theirs is a world of shadows and secrets, where danger lurks around every corner. One of the men speaks up, his voice gruff but determined. He has an old boat moored near the Rialto Bridge, one that hasn't moved in months. They set off into the labyrinthine canals, their gondola gliding silently through the darkness. The air is thick with the stench of stale water and rotting vegetation. The rhythmic splash of oars against water is the only sound that breaks the oppressive silence. As they approach the rendezvous point, the leader motions for his companions to halt. He jumps out of the gondola and disappears into the maze of alleyways and stairways. The others wait patiently, their faces grim, their eyes sharp and watchful. On the other side of town, a gaggle of young boys tumbled out of a shadowy doorway, their clothes dusty and tattered, their faces streaked with grime. One of them, a wiry lad with a mop of unkempt hair, clutches a small wooden box close to his chest. They navigate the narrow streets with practiced ease, their small bodies weaving in and out of the crowds. Their destination is a small, unassuming building, its windows dark and lifeless. This is the home of a scribe, a man who spends his nights poring over ancient texts, his days consumed by the endless tasks of the Republic. The boys climb the creaking stairs, their footsteps echoing in the stillness. At the top of the stairs, they come to a stop outside a heavy wooden door. The boy with the box steps forward, knocking timidly. There is a shuffling sound from inside the room, followed by a gruff voice demanding entrance. The boy opens the door, revealing a dimly lit chamber filled with scrolls and books. The scribe sits, hunched over his desk, his face illuminated by the soft glow of a lantern. He gestures for the boy to enter, his eyes twinkling with amusement. He knows these children well. their dirt-stained clothes and tousled hair, their bright, curious eyes. They are the sons and daughters of Venice, the ones who run errands and sell flowers, who polish shoes and mend clothes. Their lives are a constant struggle against poverty, but their spirits remain unbroken. Describe motions for the boy to set the box on his desk. He rummages through his collection of coins, eventually handing the child a small purse. The boy's eyes widen in surprise. He had expected the usual copper coins. Not this. Scribe smiles, knowing he has made the boy's day. As the night wears on, the scribe's thoughts drift to the city beyond his window. Venice is a place of contrasts, where unimaginable wealth rubs shoulders with crushing poverty, where the whisper of silk and jewels mingles with the cries of street vendors and beggars. It is a city of beauty and brutality, of privilege and despair. But despite the darkness that sometimes envelops its citizens, Venice remains a beacon of hope. For those who navigate its canals and courtyards, the promise of a new day always lingers on the horizon. A reminder that even in the darkest hours, the sun will rise again.